Welcome to Illustrator. What I'm going to show you in this video is a couple things. The first thing I'm going to show you is how to customize the color of your interface and also how to create a new document and your workspace. So first thing, right away you can see that my interface was my personal preference to a lighter color. The reason why I'm showing you this is because it depends on what you're comfortable working with, depending on your eyesight, depending on how sensitive your eyes are. And for me personally, sometimes my eyes are more sensitive on different days than others. So I have the option to go back and forth to lighter or darker interfaces. So where you would find that is if you scroll to the very top, at the very top menu, where it says Illustrator, I will click on Illustrator, I will click on Preferences, and I will just click on General. This will bring up a window that shows me the entire menu of preferences that I can adjust. But personally, I do not like to change too many things because that can cause issues. So for this lesson, I'm just going to show you where to change the user interface and one other thing. So if you look down closer to the bottom, you will see and click on User Interface. It will be highlighted in blue once you have clicked on it. Then in this menu, you will notice the brightness. That's where you can change the colors. So what is highlighted in a blue box is what I'm currently using as my interface color. If I go and click on, for example, medium dark, I can see that my interface has changed colors to a darker color. I could even go darker than that. However, I'm going to just keep it the way it was for my personal preference. It's up to you what you choose. Before I close this window down, I'm going to go into, if you look under General, there's Selection and Anchor Display. I will click on that, and we will discuss what anchor points mean and handles and bounding boxes. But for now, I have changed my size of the anchor points because you will notice sometimes it's a little too small. And for me, it's a little too small to see. So I have changed the size to a larger size. When you open it up, it may say default. That's where mine was originally. And I had changed it to a much larger size because I need to see these anchor points a little better. And that is it. We're going to click OK. And I will show you 3 different places where you can create a new document. So looking at this interface, I can click on the left side, Create New, and it will bring me a new window that gives me several options, standard options like letters, posters, and you have this, you can scroll through this bar. Also at the top here, recent, saved, whatever I have saved, or mobile options, web options, print. So anything that you're creating for, let's say, a phone, iPhone, the nice thing is that Illustrator has provided these sizes for you because there's so many different sizes. And to memorize all of this, I mean, you may memorize some, but there is a lot. I can click on View All Presets and I have more options to choose from. So iPads and Apple Watches. If I click on web, this is based on anything digital going on the web, going social media, anything like that. Print is basically when I am actually sending something to the printer, like let's say a poster or a brochure or business cards, I would use this preset. And notice that when I click on print, this is highlighted. This is the default highlighting of the letter size. That is what will show up on the right side, preset details. So whatever I click on, notice that your preset details will change according to whatever you've chosen. So that is one area. So I'm going to close this down. The next area is your more presets, and we will go through that as well. It's the exact same window and menu. And finally, the last area to open a new document would be just File at the very top and New. So that is how you create a new document. For the purpose of this lesson, I'm just going to leave it as the default area, 8.5 by 11, highlighted it in blue. it shows this 8.5 by 11. For the drop-down menu, you can click on and you have several different units you can work in. In the industry, in marketing, advertising, graphic design, typically it's points, picas, or inches that you can use, feet as well. But for this lesson and for the years that I have been working in the industry, I have used inches. So I'm going to leave it at inches. And I'm going to leave the presets the way it is for this particular lesson. We'll get into bleeds another day. Color mode, I'm going to leave it as is. We'll get into that another day. And I'm going to create my new document. What you will see right away is your document, which is also referred to as the artboard in Illustrator. So if you look at the left side, you will see the tools panel. Hovering over each of these icons will give you the name of each of them, what it is. So just hover, not clicking, it'll give you the name. And if you look at the far right, you can also see there's icons as well. And you can click on these icons, which will expand for you. I can adjust. So notice your cursor. Anytime your cursor changes into arrows, that means you can actually pull the panel down more. I can actually, let's say I was working in color and maybe I wanted to use something else at the same time, but do you notice how the other panel closed on me? So it's like I can have this panel, I can pull it out by clicking on the tab and dragging it out. Let's say I needed this more than others. This color, I can also click on, drag it out, but let's say I wanted to keep those two together and so I'm not covering my artboard. I would click on, again, the tab on the menu panel and see how the blue box comes up? That's when you know that it'll be within the same panel. So now I have these two out and no longer within this area here, and it'll be easier for me to see. These little arrows, they're kind of hard to see, but when you hover over them, it says collapse icons. I click on that and it makes it smaller for me, expanding and collapsing. The same thing when you at the top here, I can expand and collapse these menus. I can bring it out. This one as well, I can expand these and collapse these. So know that you can adjust things the way you want. You can bring things out. You can adjust where they are. Basically, when you're working in Illustrator, you may need several things at the same time. And what happens is it can look like a big mess. And all of a sudden, my artboard is being compromised. And that's what happens. So that's why we have the option to expand and collapse. But then I can click on these. I can move them around. So click, drag, click, drag. But let's say I liked the way my windows were originally, or my workspace was originally when I opened up the document. You can change that. If you go at the very top, you go to Window, you have the option to go to Window Workspace. And the workspace I'm using, and you may want to check, make sure that you're checked next to Essentials Classic. And to reset everything the way it was when you opened up the document is click on Reset Essentials Classic. So I reset it, and do you see how everything went back to the way it was when I started? Also at the very top, you can see that there are more options as well. So we will get into that once we start using these tools.